One of the most complex triangles on reality TV came back into the spotlight. Jasmine has returned just when fans thought the chaos had finally stopped, and the tension is at an all-time high. The second baby is here. Kirk and Rasheeda are abruptly pulled back into a storm from which they were never able to entirely escape. Fans are shocked. Feelings were running high. The rumors about the scene behind Dash also suggest that their reconnection was anything from accidental. Sources claim that Jasmine's return wasn't quiet. It was bold, strategic, and well-timed after the birth of her second child. After months of silence, she reappeared with a message, a glow, and what many believe to be a secret agenda. Was this an effort to rekindle unresolved wounds, or was it an attempt to find closure? Kirk froze when her name started to rise again, according to insiders, because some secrets don't remain concealed forever. Meanwhile, Rasheeda was unprepared for the emotional roller coaster. Both Jasmine's homecoming and Kirk's reaction to it, according to her close friends, surprised her. Even though the cameras weren't on yet, tensions were already building behind closed doors. After a late-night phone call, the entire household reportedly fell into chaos. Old disagreements resurfaced and accusations flew. Fans are already taking sides, sorting through pictures, timelines, and enigmatic postings on social media that seem to tell a story that nobody wants to share in public. It appears like Jasmine is hinting at more than just co-parenting. Is Kirk caught between the past and the present once more? And how much will Rasheeda protect her peace of mind and her marriage? Because this time, it goes beyond simple drama. It has to do with dedication, legacy, and a divided family. And if the rumors are true, what happens next can change everything you thought was real. Eyes. The moment Jasmine came back into the forefront, everything changed. It wasn't too loud at first. No press run, no interview, just one photo. The description, which showed Jasmine standing with a soft, light baby carrier on her chest, and the phrase, "Growth suits me well," was quickly analyzed by fans. And within minutes, blogs had taken notice. Many were shocked, and the comments turned into a battlefield. One thing was visible to everybody, whether they were praising her strength or charging her with causing trouble. Kirk changed his mind about the post he had liked in less than 10 minutes. By then, it was too late. In Kirk and Rasheeda's world, emotions were running high. Rasheeda saw the notification on Kirk's phone before he could even reply. Family accounts claim that she did not scream. She held back her tears. She just stared at him motionless. The kind that reduces an area. Kirk tried to brush it off, saying it was just help for the mother of his child. The sentence was familiar to Rasheeda, but this time it had a new meaning. Jasmine wasn't only posting behind-the-scenes pictures, she was moving stealthily, calling friends and sending messages to people who had previously sworn devotion to Rasheeda. She wasn't asking for favors. She was reminding them of things they had all experienced in the past but had never talked about in public. "I'm not here to destroy anything," Jasmine apparently declared. "I'm here to stop pretending," she said, sending chills down everyone's spine. Kirk, however, was disintegrating. According to a pallet, he admitted that the advent of the second child had already caused him considerable anxiety. It wasn't that he didn't adore his kid. Instead, it forced him to face a facet of himself that he had been avoiding. Music. He told a close friend that he questioned if he had actually made improvement or if he had just gotten better at hiding. When he once again saw Jasmine glowing and unfazed. Such words were never directly heard by Rasheeda. In any case, Rasheeda sensed the shift before she had proof. Kirk became more silent and distracted. He never let go of his phone. Making business calls late at night started to become more common. When she eventually came up to him, her emotions were running high, and the argument soon escalated out of control. Rasheeda insisted on telling the truth. Kirk urged patience. They didn't get what they wanted. At the end of the evening, doors slammed and voices echoed, dividing the family in a way they hadn't seen in years. Outside the home, fans were already making assumptions. Screenshots of Jasmine's earlier interviews reappeared. Videos of Kirk contesting his position from the past gained popularity again. Remarks like "this story was never finished," and "Rasheeda deserves better," were shelved in. Jasmine did not respond to accusations that she was using the baby as a kind of blackmail. She followed the direct message from Jasmine to Kirk, which was never leaked or made public, and allowed the outcry to increase because many people who knew her well claimed that silence was part of the plan. It was late at night, long after Rasheeda had gone to bed, and it allegedly said, "We need to talk." This time, Kirk didn't react right away. Because answering would reopen a chapter he had promised to close, he stared at the screen for more than an hour. Ignoring it, however, would endanger something else. The next morning, Kirk left the house earlier than usual. Rasheeda observed she was always perceptive. She didn't inquire. Rather, she called her best friend and a family member who had long since warned her that unresolved drama usually involved Jasmine. Jasmine was there when Kirk entered, what he described as a meeting. She was calm, prepared, and not alone. A baby with a sitter. and a mutual acquaintance who knew both sides was seated nearby and would later say that the tension in that room was unbearable. Kirk tried to interrupt him with a single sentence, but Jasmine took her time explaining everything: the missed conversations, the money disputes, the secret commitments that were never kept in public, becoming a mother, feeling erased, and seeing Kirk cultivate a flawless persona while she bore the consequences instead of shouting or accusing. Emotions were running high, and Kirk realized for the first time that Jasmine was calling for accountability rather than attention when she put an end to it. You are no longer in charge of the plot, unaware that Rasheeda was already getting tidbits of information from someone else. Kirk received a hazy but dangerous text in the middle of the conversation. Maybe you should find out where Kirk really is. Rasheeda's hands shook as she read it, and she felt the drama in her chest, not because she didn't expect it, but because she hated that familiar warning feeling. The person who told her that something was about to break. Jasmine told the truth during the meeting, implying that she had concealed some things out of respect, but respect had its limits. She didn't have to threaten anyone. Kirk understood that if Jasmine talked openly, it would have an impact not just on him, but also on Rasheeda, the kids, and the brand. Shaken, as he left the conference, he vowed to find a solution. Jasmine watched him go, unsatisfied but ready. Kirk got home late that night, but it was too late. Rasheeda stood by, unadulterated emotion, no cameras, no audience, and she asked one question. Rasheeda felt a shift in the ground beneath her feet at that instant. The family was divided. Will you choose honesty or comfort? Kirk didn't answer fast enough. Officially, the past has returned to the present. Somewhere in the middle of it all, Jasmine was making plans for her next move, realizing that this was only the beginning. After that night, there was more silence than argument. The next morning, Rasheeda walked around the house on autopilot, refusing to scream or make accusations. More than yelling, Kirk was terrified of what she did, so she retreated. Kirk immediately noticed that Jasmine was kind but distant, as though she was already preparing for life after disappointment. The coldness in her eyes startled him, and despite her calm demeanor, Jasmine was moving in the opposite direction. She started to stand out, deliberately rather than haphazardly. Before long, another picture with the caption narrating my tale showed her seated in a studio chair with headphones around her neck rather than the baby. Fans were shocked, and blogs went viral. There was a lot of conjecture. Was it an interview, a podcast, or a sit-down conversation? Everyone could feel the strain mounting, but no one knew. Friends and relatives were sucked into the drama whether they wanted to or not. Rasheeda's inner circle advised her to remain silent in order to maintain her peace and let Kirk handle the mess he created. But when her phone was constantly buzzing with messages asking about her well-being, the truth of the rumors, and whether Jasmine would divulge everything, peace seemed unachievable. Her marriage was once again public property, and every message felt like a reminder of this. Kirk tried to contain the damage. Calls came in, asking for favors. He called Jasmine again, telling her to calm down, think about the kids, and think about the consequences. After hearing, Jasmine replied coolly, "I've been thinking about the consequences for years." "It's your turn," Kirk stated, his emotions running high as he realized he was no longer in charge. Then came the leak, which was more of a whisper than a full narrative. Fans quickly connected the dots after an audio-only video of Jasmine allegedly discussing feeling repressed and being used as a secret surfaced online. Although it wasn't necessary, the video didn't reveal identities. The comments were nasty. Fans immediately made the connection. The remarks were harsh. Some vehemently defended Rasheeda, claiming that she was the true victim. Some said Jasmine deserved her moment because she had been wronged. The family was divided both in private and in public. Rasheeda finally spoke up, but not in the way that everyone had expected. She delivered a simple quote, "Truth weighs rather than rushes." That one sentence stunned the fan base. Was it a declaration or a caution? Kirk became aware that he was losing control of the situation when he saw it. Rasheeda went up to Kirk again behind closed doors, but this time there was no shouting, just timeframes, facts, and unavoidable questions. She questioned him about why he seemed more afraid of Jasmine talking than of losing his marriage, why this felt planned, and why Jasmine felt safe enough to reappear at this time. Kirk tried to explain, but his justifications seemed flimsy, and the habit of making excuses had grown boring. Meanwhile, Jasmine's confidence only grew. Sources claim that she began to hold meetings, discuss options, and provide ideas for projects that would raise her profile since she felt visible and powerful at last. Everyone was afraid because she was no longer hidden. And then things took a different turn. Through a common friend, Rasheeda discovered that Jasmine wasn't acting alone. For months, a close friend of Kirk's had been giving her information, moods, weak points, and schedules. Rasheeda was heartbroken by this betrayal and told Kirk about it. He first denied everything, then fell silent, which confirmed everything. Then something shattered, and Rasheeda felt clarity rather than anger. She told Kirk that she needed some space. Rasheeda had made up her mind, and she didn't hesitate to choose herself for the first time. Despite Kirk's reluctance, terror, and appeals, there was real room to think without his influence. Once again, Jasmine took the lead, while Rasheeda withdrew. This time, she spoke in public about parenthood, desertion, and reclaiming control without mentioning any particular people. Fans were scrutinizing every word, and feelings were running hot. As he watched from the sidelines, Kirk realized too late that his attempts to control the story had only made matters worse, and his reputation was in danger. Some praised her boldness, while others accused her of altering history. But the damage had already been done. Just when everyone thought the storm had passed, a new rumor surfaced that Jasmine wasn't done sharing the truth, and that there was one last thing she had concealed that might change everyone's perception of the past. His family was broken, and the two women whose lives he had entwined were no longer following his rules. One thing became clear as the whispers grew louder. This was more than just a dramatic comeback. It was a reckoning. The rumor was brief. Blogs said that Jasmine had scheduled a private meeting with producers within 48 hours to correct the record, not to criticize or yell. Fans were shocked by a single phrase: timelines, receipts, and names that are strongly implied but not expressed. Everyone knew what it meant to correct the record in this world. Social media users' emotions were running high as they debated whether this was retaliation or empowerment. Despite Rasheeda's best efforts, the noise followed her everywhere, making even routine errands tense when people whispered or stared at her for too long. She seemed composed, but worn out. In private, she battled conflicting emotions, such as fear of what the facts would show, anger at Kirk, loyalty to her husband, and empathy she didn't want to feel for Jasmine. Kirk was crumbling, and sleeping became optional, according to friends, as if she were carrying a burden she didn't ask for. His phone kept ringing. Family members demanded an explanation. Business associates asked for confidence, and he felt torn between damage control and denial. He reached out to Jasmine again, but this time he did so out of desperation rather than prudence, and asked her what she really wanted. Jasmine responded directly, "Peace is what I desire, but truth is necessary for peace." The statement unnerved him. This was no longer about Kirk, Jasmine told a close friend, her resolve fortified by years of being written off as a footnote. It was about her children growing up knowing that their mother didn't keep quiet and that she valued her voice over consolation. That way of thinking changed everything. Then, in an unexpected turn of events, an unnamed former insider came forward and claimed to have witnessed private conversations years earlier that contradicted Kirk's public claims. The suggestion was enough. Although nothing was confirmed, fans scrutinized every word, every hint, and extended relatives began to covertly take sides, further polarizing the family. Finally, Rasheeda had to confront the choice she had avoided. What if Jasmine was telling the truth? What if there were holes in the story that she had come to terms with years ago? The thought unnerved her, not because it excused betrayal, but rather because it put it in a different perspective. And she started to question situations that she had previously disregarded. Vague explanations, late nights, and broken promises. When Kirk sensed Rasheeda emotionally withdrawing, panic struck. He apologized, made grand gestures, and offered assurances, but Rasheeda was unfazed. She told him that she needed truthfulness free of pretense, protective imagery, and partial truths. In the interim, Jasmine's sit-down date leaked, and while Kirk made an effort, Rasheeda could feel her faith being damaged in real time as each response appeared planned. Fans counted down as the level of anticipation increased, as if it were the conclusion of the season. A few days before the interview, Jasmine got in touch with Rasheeda personally. Some believed that she had earned the right to speak and was pursuing influence, while others stated that she remained silent and let speculation do the rest. She communicated directly, politely, cautiously, and without intermediaries. She made no demands or accusations. She only said that she understood if Rasheeda hated her and that she had no intention of hurting her. Rasheeda took a long time to read the message before answering, claiming that she didn't hate Jasmine and that she hated lies. As a result of that chat, they both had a transformation. Kirk was shocked to hear about the exchange and realized for the first time that the story might go on without him in the middle. The women he thought he could control, talking to each other without consulting him. When he finally realized that the sit-down had taken place, he lost all sense of control. No theatrics, no shouting. Jasmine spoke softly and tentatively, talking about miscommunication and respect, timing, being urged to be quiet, and prioritizing the needs of others over her own. But she never brought up Rasheeda's name. Viewers' emotions were running high as they read between the lines. Rasheeda watched the interview alone. No friends, no Kirk. Just her thoughts, and she wasn't upset. After the transmission of the interviews, Kirk made an uncertain comment about accountability and progress. She felt both pain and clarity, sadness over what may have been, and sadness for a trust that would never return. The public's opinion of the family was divided like never before. Fans didn't believe it, and Jasmine hinted off camera that another revelation was about to happen just when it seemed the story had reached its peak. One thing became evident as the dust settled. Nothing would ever return to its previous state. She said she would reveal it later, but not now. something that might either reopen everything or bring closure. The aftermath was more serious than anyone could have predicted. The interview not only sparked conversation but also altered alliances. People who had been neutral for years now felt comfortable enough to speak, and selective recollections of former pals resurfaced. As the plot grew beyond Jasmine, Kirk and Rasheeda and became a full-fledged accounting of past behavior. Relatives who lived far away hinted at things they had long suspected. Emotions ran high, and Rasheeda fell silent, not reclusive, but deliberate, ceasing to defend herself and refute rumors. She focused on her children, her work, and her routine. On the inside, though, she was coping with a truth that hurt more than betrayal. The realization that she had been defending an incomplete version of truth for years weighed more heavily on her than anger. In an effort to regain his footing, Kirk leaned into public humility. He seemed to be speaking too late when he discussed progress, therapy, and accountability. His supporters were shocked by his seeming indifference to the emotional gravity of the issue. Every time he spoke, it felt more like he was addressing a crowd than the people he was harming. That divergence only served to increase the gap. Jasmine watched the reaction and felt conflicted. It was both relieving and exhausting to be heard. She didn't realize how exhausting visibility could be. Despite apparently giving a bad response when asked in private if she regretted speaking up, she stayed steadfast. She said that silence had already cost her too much. Then things took a different turn. A resurrected text conversation, allegedly between Kirk and a third party, began circulating online years ago, outlining how to address the circumstance. Nothing was confirmed, but the implication alone sparked outrage. Nothing was verified. Nothing was verified.